This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Hey listeners, this podcast is safe for first-time readers because it's made by me, a first-time reader. I'm your host Dani, and I'm the one who's taken on the task of reading through this 15-book mega-series. I'm joined by my co-host Brett, who's a longtime fan and acting as my tour guide on this journey. Before we get into our episode today, we want to thank and welcome Sir Hijinks, Dan Coleman, and Chris Obscure Dobell to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. We really appreciate your generous contributions, and we're excited to have your support. We also want to say hey to everyone who's listening around the world in 39 different countries. This episode, we're going to be talking about Chapter 13, Choices.
Yeah, and I feel like we're officially, starting this journey now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This adventure is underway.
We're into it now officially, so.
Completely.
Yeah.
By the end of this chapter, I'd say we're underway. Because there's, I would say, how people in the last Harry Potter book complain about the camping?
Yeah, the camping scene.
Not the camping scene.
Or the camping movie.
The camping, movie. Well, half of the book is camping.
Yeah.
This is what I equate that to,
okay.
Except that I'm happy that it was one chapter.
Yeah.
Because this could have dragged out.
Longer than it needed to be dragged out.
Yeah, and I think that it was dragged out, actually, a little bit. But I'm happy that we're clearly getting into some interesting stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited for the progression here, so.
Yeah, and I assume you have a fun fact for us.
I do. This is actually a pretty fun fact, too.
Okay.
It kind of built off one of our conversations earlier, and it is all about word counts.
Word counts.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm looking at word counts for the Wheel of Time series and not, pages is because there's so many different, size of books, publishing methods,
yes.
Pages doesn't really equate, so words translates really well into length of series. And I actually picked out some different series too to kind of give you a context to compare it to.
Gotcha.
Okay, so first one I wanted to kind of bring up here was the traditional long book, in quotations, I'm using my air quotes there.
Yes.
War and Peace, right? Because a lot of
Okay.
people always think, oh, long books, War and Peace.
Sure.
So War and Peace is technically, it was a 4-volume set with 2 epilogues, so it wasn't just one book. But it had 587,287 words.
Okay.
Okay, so just over half a million.
I want to start singing Rent right now.
Oh, yeah?
5,000, 2,500, whatever. I just want to sing all your numbers, but
Okay.
I'm not going to.
So yeah, I can make it simple. War and Peace is just about 600,000 words, and that was always the bar for long books.
Yeah.
The next on the list I have is Lord of the Rings, because a lot of people think, oh, Lord of the Rings is a really long series.
Yep.
Not so much though. It falls into 481,000 words.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit shorter.
Well, it's 3 books.
It is only 3 books versus
Did you count The Hobbit in that?
No,
no?
this one was
Okay.
just the Lord of the Rings, the 3 books.
Okay, well, The Hobbit's actually kind of a tiny book.
Yeah, it isn't very large.
Compare it.
The thing about Lord of the Rings is there's so much other backstory that goes into it. So, I mean, it's a little bit different. The books themselves are only 3 books, but there's,
Yeah.
tons of content other than that. But anyways, 481,000 words. Then we have Harry Potter coming in at 1,084,000 words.
Wow. Go
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
So broke the million mark, so that's
Yeah.
pretty exciting. Then we have Game of Thrones. Now, obviously not finished yet.
Yeah, that's a hard one to loop into this. I didn't think you were going to because it's not done.
Yeah, I did because, it's been 8 years since a book was released?
It's been a while.
It's been a while, so, Anyways, so Game of Thrones is coming in at 1,736,000 words.
So far.
So far.
Okay.
Yeah, so realistically it'll break the 2 million mark,
Yeah.
which is pretty exciting. And then the Wheel of Time series tops all of those, coming in at 4,410,036 words.
Cool.
Yeah, long series. Funny part, it's not the longest series ever. It ranked, I think, 6th.
Oh.
Yeah, for longest
Can you
fantasy
give
series.
us the top book?
The other top 5, no. I didn't write
You
them
just
down.
stopped at Wheel of Time? You're not even going to give us the top one?
No, this is a Wheel of Time podcast. Not here to promote other long series.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah, so the really, really fun fact about this, though, like I was saying, so Harry Potter was about 1.1 million words.
Yeah.
There is, in the Wheel of Time series, one chapter in one of these books that is longer than the entire first book of Harry Potter.
Yeah, you've told me that one before.
Yeah, so I just want everybody to know There's a chapter that's longer, so I honestly don't know what we're going to do when we get to that chapter.
Well, it's probably going to have to get broken up, otherwise it'll be like a 5-hour episode.
That could be fun.
No, that sounds terrible.
So that is the fun word count edition of the Fun Fact.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Let's get into choices then.
Yes, I like it. And the first thing we have to address is there is a new map.
Yeah, new map time. That's really fun.
It is very fun. I like this. This means we're really moving up in the world.
Yeah.
New territory. Literally and figuratively.
That's true. Technically, we're not on the map yet, but we're like heading in that direction.
We're getting to. Was Baerlon not on that map?
No.
Oh, I thought it was.
No.
Okay. Well, that's a weird time for the map to come in then.
Yeah, so it's showing the road that is like going to be heading towards where they're going. So we're almost there, but we're just not there yet.
It seems a little preemptive.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like a couple chapters from now, maybe.
They could have, but they didn't. So, but yeah.
Okay.
But this is where we're going. So we get to see like Tarvalon, we get to see Camelin, get to see a couple different, little towns and cities here. So, did you take a hard look at this map?
No, not really.
Not
Otherwise,
really?
I would have known that Baerlon isn't on it.
I guess that's a good point.
I glanced at it and thought, "Oh, this is fun." And then as things come up, I look at it, but
So, just looking at the map quick, logically the route they're going to take is they're going to go east to Whitebridge, then to Four Kings, then to Camelin, then up to Tarvalon.
Logically. As long as everything goes to plan.
As long as nothing goes wrong, that's what's going to happen.
And we know that all of these plans are completely foolproof and nothing
else
is
nothing.
Gonna
probably
happen.
nothing's going to happen during these next couple chapters.
No, well, other than lovely journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I'll point out a couple things as we get into this chapter too.
Okay.
But
okay, cool. Okay, and then so also we have here the Moiraine staff picture.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't really have anything for this.
I think mainly it's just because Moiraine is a large portion of this chapter.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine with me. So where we last left the squad was in the little tree fort, and we learned that Egwene was to be an Aes Sedai.
Yeah, and Rand was super happy for her.
Yeah. Well, we actually, to be fair, didn't really get Rand's reaction.
Yeah.
But we got inside his head.
We did, yeah.
And we got the fact that he really was hoping that she would fail.
Yeah, and we're going to get more inside his feelings today. So.
Oh, we get lots of Rand feelings this
Yeah.
chapter. Feelings, that's for sure. So Moiraine is healing everyone here before they go to sleep. Even Lan and Tom.
Yep.
Who both protest.
Funny reactions.
Yes, and I think it's really funny. She grabs Tom's face
And like pulls him. Yeah.
and almost does it mockingly,
Yeah.
and then smiles at him after,
Yeah.
she's laughing. And then Rand also tries to sort of hide in the shadows. And
Yeah, and I'm thinking this
out
isn't
of
a
it.
very big cubbyhole here. Where are you gonna hide?
Yeah.
She's gonna actually forget about you.
Yeah, but anyway, she insists, and he feels the tiredness drain out of him. And so they all fall asleep very quickly after this, because I put a little note here, they only feel rested.
Yes.
But their bodies aren't actually rested.
Yeah.
So even though they could go on, their bodies do need
It's
rest.
it's like painkillers, basically. You can
Yeah.
still injure a foot if you're taking painkillers, right?
Yeah.
So.
Makes sense. Okay. So Land wakes them all here before Moiraine wakes up. And it's not a very long time that they slept. It seems like the sun is basically just coming up, and by the time they clear everything away, they clear any sign that they were ever there, and they carry on north towards Baerlon. I'm saying that right?
Yeah, they're going north right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they go on, but they are riding very slowly to conserve the horses. So Rand watches the fog-covered riverbank disappear behind them, and he never thought he'd be this far from home before. And Perrin responds by saying, we'll be back in a month or two. Think of the stories we'll have to tell.
Yeah.
And I just think, no.
Not going to be back in a month or two.
In a month, we get right away that it takes them a week to get to Baerlon.
Yeah.
And
it's you're going to be back in a month?
Yeah.
Not going to probably get to Tarvalon. If you look at the map,
yeah.
They've barely gone anywhere.
Yeah, I know.
So,
get there, do what you need to do, and then make your way back.
Yeah.
Come on, Perrin. I thought he was the smart one. So then Matt pipes in with it. Even Trollocs can't chase us forever. But then he clearly doesn't really believe that. He's just trying to convince himself, I think. Yeah. And then Egwene snorts, men. Stupid idiots. Get the adventure they always wanted and then are already talking about home.
Yeah, that kind of comes back to the whole, are you forced to go on it or did you choose?
Yes,
right?
Exactly. And then so Rand doesn't want to worry about that now. So he daydreams about farming.
Yeah.
So the journey to Baerlon takes a week here. And I think, wow, that went quickly. They're really going to skip a week like that?
Nope. Gotcha.
Yeah. But of course, nope, we need to recount every step and conversation.
Yeah, and every day. Yeah, it's
so
important.
Back it up, back it up, back it up.
Yeah.
We learn that Lan's horse is named Mandarb.
Yeah, Mondarb.
Mondarb, which means blade.
Yep.
That's cool. In the old tongue.
Capitalized, obviously.
Yeah.
You made fun of me for saying obviously.
In the old tongue?
No, for saying obviously. Because sometimes I say capitalized, obviously.
Oh, yes.
I didn't realize I was doing that, so.
Now you every time.
Now I do.
Okay, but the old tongue is capitalized.
It is, yeah.
That kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's like
a lot
language,
of Game of Thrones references actually in this chapter.
Yeah,
so.
Well, this was first, so.
No, I know that. I just mean like taken from.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, clearly. Or maybe not. Maybe it's a coincidence, but
yeah,
I doubt it. Anyway, so Lan covers twice as much distance as the rest of them do. Like, he's going ahead.
Yeah, he's scouting.
Checking, coming back to them, and then making sure that they keep this pace. And Lan even seems to be annoyed at how slowly they're going, even though he's the one setting the pace.
Yeah, and like yells at people when they try to step out of line for pacing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we learn Moiraine's horse is called Aldib.
Yes, Aldib. You
Nice.
got that 100% right.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to say pronunciation's getting better here.
Thank
so,
you.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm learning as I go.
That's good.
I'm a quick learner.
It's hard to know which letters to like completely ignore.
Yes.
And then when they really matter.
Yeah, and I just have to take a complete guess.
Yeah, total guess.
Yep. Or also in the old tongue, west wind.
Yeah.
Or the wind on which spring comes or something. Like
Yeah,
that.
the wind that brought the spring rains.
That's the one.
Yeah.
All right, and so at the beginning here, Rand is always checking over his shoulder, very concerned about an attack, and everyone else is sort of feeling the same, sort of weapons at the ready. And I just have to point out a very interesting choice of words here.
Okay.
That kind of annoy me. Because, so in the writing, it says Perrin fingered his axe often.
Okay.
And like, really?
Do you not like the word fingered?
Like, there were no other verbs that could be used?
Yeah, that's it.
That's the one. That's the only one. I wouldn't even talk about, like, if I have my hand on my axe or something. Like, I wouldn't...
That's okay. One of the running jokes in the Wheel of Time series is the Dark One's taint.
Yes. Well, you know what? I've been really holding my tongue on that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's a hard one, and I know it's said so often, so I've really just been trying to just...
See, I read these books before I knew what that meant.
Yeah.
So... I think I was fortunate that...
yeah, maybe. But I don't know. That one just really stood out to me, and I didn't like it. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But whatever. Move on. And I'm sure that won't be the last time we
Oh,
get
yeah,
it.
probably not.
You know, that's kind of a running joke with some of the Harry Potter books as well.
Yeah.
This is probably the last Harry Potter reference, but...
That's not true.
Well, for...
You can't just lie like that.
Okay. I just feel like I've had a lot in these, like, first, 10 minutes. But there's a lot of writing that reminded me of that because... but it's more like a Britishism thing.
Ejaculated?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Ejaculated to yell.
Yeah.
And then groped.
Yep.
For feeling around and stuff. So lots of things like that where it's just like, come on, editors.
Yeah.
Like, find other
Didn't catch that,
new
or...
verbs. Different verbs. But no. Anyway, whatever. So there's no sign of anything here, and Rand starts to think that maybe they did escape. And this actually makes me think that an attack is coming.
Okay.
Because any time that Rand says something positive...
Like, this is going to be the best Beltane ever?
Yeah, it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Almost every single time. It'll be fine.
Once we get to the town.
Once we get to the village,
Yeah.
and then the village sucks, and it's not fine. So he says, oh, maybe we've missed and there's no attack coming.
Yeah.
I honestly thought in the next paragraph
And a Charlotte comes out and chops his head off. Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. I wouldn't be a good writer, so.
No, it turns
Okay.
out. But yeah, completely wrong. And I can take that one.
Yeah.
But there's actually quite a lot of description of the vegetation.
Oh, yeah.
So, no attacks, but
Lots of vegetation.
Trees and...
Do you want to summarize
stuff.
all the different types, or do you
I
just want to keep
don't. I just want to keep going. But there is
Okay.
a point I do want to note where it says that there's no birds here, not
Yes.
even ravens.
Yeah, no birds at all.
And I thought that was interesting because the ravens are like the spies a lot of the time, especially where in the Two Rivers right now there's ravens everywhere.
Yeah.
And here there aren't, so that might mean maybe less Dark One
Sure.
spies.
Sure.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Okay.
So here we get a play-by-play per day.
Yep.
And they are snaking through the woods, even though there's a path. So they're really taking their time getting.
Yeah, Lan's just going all which ways to hide the roots. And
yeah, there's a funny scene here where they see a farm and find it shocking that it looks no different than back home.
Yeah, I wrote down a couple of things because this was just such a funny scene.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
They're like, look at that farm. It's no different.
It's the same. It's like they're not even that far away.
Yeah, and Matt's like, of course it is. Of course it's different. Everything's different. We're far from the two rivers now.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just past Terran Ferry. Like, you're
just over the river, like...
Yeah. Like, why do you think that farms are different places? Like, even in Canada, even in the United States, like, even in Europe, like, wherever you go, farms are, for the most part, farms.
Well, even cities, like, for the most part, cities are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Like, there's not that many differences. We've lived in...
Apart from, like, size, but yeah.
Yeah, but, like, all the rest of it's more or less the same.
Yeah, buildings.
There's stores, there's bars,
roads.
There's pubs, there's grocery stores, there's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just
schools,
sort of
there's...
how it goes.
Yeah.
But these guys are so shocked.
Oh my god, they have chimneys, too.
And they have chimneys! And then Perrin argues, no, it's not different. And Matt argues back, it must be, we're north of Terran. And then Rand is sort of stuck in the middle here. He agrees with both of them, feeling a little torn about what he's seeing. It's hard for them to believe that a farm could look the same in other parts of the world.
Yeah. And then Lan obviously is annoyed at all of them for being so loud.
Yes, shut up, guys. So Lan begins some lessons on the first night.
Yeah, this is really fun.
Yeah, starting with archery, because
Yeah.
this is something they've all sort of done before. Maybe he's just, like, testing to see... like,
See how good they are.
Yeah. And they're all actually pretty good. They do all pretty much do...
Yeah, they do pretty much the same.
They do a decent job.
Yeah.
And then it's Rand's turn, and he summons his flame and void.
Yeah.
That lets his bow become a part of him, and he does really, really well. Like, even better, like, to the point where Matt, like, congratulates
This
him.
is like the whole Robin Hood splitting arrows.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, where the arrow hits the other arrow, and then...
it goes through it. I was actually thinking of the Disney movie.
Yeah,
with
the fox. Yeah.
Fox.
Fox and the bear.
Is that Robin Hood?
Yeah, it's Robin Hood.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You're right. Trust
Okay.
your brain.
Wasn't sure.
So, yeah, so they all actually do pretty well. And Lan says, if only you had all bows. And if Trollocs agreed to stand still, basically.
Yeah, and not come near you.
Yeah. So he starts teaching Perrin and Rand how to use the axe and the sword.
Yep.
And Lan says to Rand, moving the blade is not enough. Your mind is part of it. Blank your mind, sheepherder. Empty it of hate and fear. Burn them away. You can use this with any weapon, even your hands. And Rand just sort of stares at him and goes,
Yeah, I know this.
Yeah, you mean the flame and void? My father taught me that.
Yeah. So Tam knows something that Lan knows.
Yes, and Lan ignores him. He sort of gives him an odd look.
Yeah.
And then continues on just teaching, and the next lesson they get continued lessons. But yeah, I wrote here this is an odd interaction, and Tam was clearly taught about this as well.
Yeah.
So I've already made the prediction that Tam is probably the master swordsman.
Probably.
To get this heron-marked sword.
Yeah.
And they've already sort of alluded to the fact that this sword looks like the warder's sword.
Yeah, like same design almost.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards like with just this information, either Tam was a warder.
Okay.
And then like left doing
Something
that
happened.
or
Yeah.
something, because he's quite older now. Like maybe he used to be like sort of big and buff and tough.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just like learned
Like from
either
a
from a warder,
Yeah.
because this type of how to fight seems very like specific.
Yeah, very
to
specific.
warders.
Yeah, very specific way to learn. It seems that way.
Yes.
Okay. So warder or learn from a warder or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a fun prediction.
I can't nail it down, but
Yeah.
something along those lines.
It's kind of like what is Lan thinking too?
Yeah, he's like, and he just sort of moves on.
Yeah.
But in the evenings here, Tom tells stories as entertainment.
Yeah, we get a couple fun references back to the ones we'd heard of before.
Yeah, the Amla one was the one I remembered.
Yeah. So just wanted to go over a couple things, and we also have to do a glossary definition for one of
Okay.
these stories. But just for reminder's sake, Anne the Wise Counselor was a reference to Anne Landers.
Yeah,
the newspaper columnist, advice columnist.
Yeah, and remember sort of in our bonus episode when you said Anne Landers and all I could think of was Ned Flanders?
Yeah.
Well, since listening to that episode again,
Okay.
what I actually think of is the Adam Sandler Hanukkah song.
Oh, okay.
Because Anne Landers is Jewish.
Yeah.
And in his Hanukkah song, he's listing all these famous people who are Jewish.
Yeah.
And he says, we got Ann Landers and her sister, Dear Abby.
Oh,
and I
okay.
remember that, too.
There you go.
So that's something
fun.
else I know about Ann Landers.
That is good. We also get Mara and the Three Foolish Kings. Three Foolish Kids. So, Mara and the Three Foolish Kings. We don't actually know what that is. I don't have a reference for you, but I was doing a little bit of research. And in the book, the story is supposed to be about Mara who, like, fools or outwits the Three Foolish Kings, which is why Egwene kind of likes that story.
Okay.
Because it's about a woman outwitting people.
Yeah.
But I looked up that in Buddhism, Mara is the name of the demon who tempted Buddha by trying to seduce him with visions of beautiful women.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's just a fun little take on it because it kind of changes the pretense, I guess, of the story.
Right.
But yeah, so that's all I got. That was just a fun, like, little
That
real
was
world.
It. That's like could possibly be what.
Oh
he
yeah,
was
totally.
about.
Like nothing.
Who knows, really?
Yeah,
but
I just like to look at similarities because I know RJ draws a lot of like his stories from real life.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's an interesting one.
And then glossary definition. I'm actually going to define the Great Hunt of the Horn for you.
Okay.
Because this is a pretty big story in the Wheel of Time universe, and it has a glossary definition. So,
It's time for glossary definitions with Brett.
it says the Great Hunt of the Horn is actually a cycle of stories, so multiple stories, that are concerning the legendary search for the Horn of Valir. Now, in the years between the end of the Trolloc Wars and the beginning of the War of 100 Years, so that was from 1,000 years after breaking to 2,000 years after breaking, that's when it's supposed to happen. We're at 3,000 right now. And if told in the entirety, the cycle would take many days. So the Great Hunt of the Horn is a gigantic, like, epic saga of different stories about this search for this legendary Horn of Valir.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all you get for now.
All right, that's fine. That's cool.
Yeah, just fun little tidbits here. You can tuck them away for later, so.
Okay. And so during this part of the ride here, in there maybe halfway through the week, or maybe second day, something like that, Egwene actually unbraids her hair.
Yeah.
And keeps it unbraided.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Rand is shocked.
Yeah.
So I actually equate this to like maybe like a woman showing her like ankles.
Ooh, from a conservative.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
like, what are you doing wearing that skirt that shows your ankles? Like,
Oh my
that's what it
goodness.
sort of reminds me of. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah,
but
well, they made a huge deal of, like, you know, she just was given the right to braid her hair. This was like a week ago, if that.
yeah, not even basically.
And now she's just, like, unbraiding it.
Yeah,
so.
he goes, what are you doing? You've always wanted your hair braided, and now because she doesn't, implying about Moiraine, you're just going to give it up.
Yeah.
So she gives a simple retort that Aes Sedai don't braid their hair.
Yeah, and I wrote down, none of your business, Rand. Like, seriously, man.
Yeah, but this annoys Rand because he's not a big fan of change, turns
Yeah.
out. And
He has a hard time.
She's all for it.
Yeah.
He says, but you're not an Aes Sedai, and the women's circle in Emmonsfield would just have a fit if they could see you now. And she says, basically, mind your business, and I will be an Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
So they argue back and forth, and he just gets so pissed off.
He gets heated here.
He does not want her to be an Aes Sedai so badly, saying that she's not a dark friend. And she comes back with, like, Moiraine isn't a dark friend. How could you say that after she saved your father?
Yeah. Also, look at your present company, Rand.
Yeah.
Like, where are you right now?
Yeah. And Rand says something about the stories that he clearly can't get over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's been told these stories over and over and over, and this, like, ingrained belief in his brain.
And I mean, people don't change beliefs overnight.
No, and Egwene says something really good here. And she just basically says, like, forget the stories and open your eyes.
Yeah.
Look around you. Take a look at the Aes Sedai you've known now for days. Like, has she proven to be a dark friend at this point? No.
Yeah. This kind of comes back to Tom's conversation with Rand, where he said, like, she's already lost to you.
Yeah.
So, like, do you have any ideas why Rand's getting so heated, besides is, like, maybe he's losing that piece of her, or...
I think he just really doesn't like the change.
Yeah.
Like, he was really sort of set in his happy little sheep herder farm life.
Yeah.
He was really excited for Beltane. he really wasn't overly keen on adventure like Matt was.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, yeah, it might be cool to see the world, but like that'll never happen.
Yeah.
I live here. This is what my life is here. And that's how he wants it to be. And I think that he hasn't really grieved the loss of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because his life forever now will be different.
Yeah, and things are moving pretty
not.
quick. Like, I keep having to coming back to, like, it's only been a couple of days.
Yes, exactly, right? But his stance here really doesn't change.
No.
And he yells about Moiraine sinking the ferry, and then is a big old hypocrite.
Yeah.
Here.
You're the stubborn one.
Yeah, saying that once you have an idea in your head, you won't budge.
Yeah.
And it's like, hello, Rand.
Back
You're
at
the
ya.
one who's actually not budging on your beliefs. But then he calls her a light-blinded fool.
Yeah.
Like, he's getting so mad.
That's got to be, like, swearing.
Yeah. Yeah,
We've
that sounds
seen
like
it-
a
we've seen it
bad
before,
one, too.
yeah.
Because that's almost like the Children of the Light thing, right? Like the light-blinded fool, where, like, you can't see anything but...
Well, Children of the Light's a little bit different.
Oh, I thought it was, like, similar to that. Because, like, if you're light-blinded, that would mean, like, everything you see is evil, right?
I mean, I guess it could be interpreted that way, too.
That's how I read
Yeah.
it, but...
Yeah, I'm okay with that. We can interpret it that way.
Okay. But anyway, she's really pissed off. And then I think this is more than just, like, a lover's spat.
Oh, yeah, they're having it out with
They
each
are
other.
just yelling at each other, and she calls him names, too. And then...
Wool-headed.
Yeah.
That's great.
And Lan interrupts them asking if they're trying to wake everyone in 10 miles.
Yeah.
And turns out everyone is staring at him, like, including Moiraine.
Which is super awkward because he just equated her with a dark friend.
Uh-oh.
Whoops.
Whoopsies.
Shoot. I hate when I do that.
So she stares and then just says, it's time to be going. Okay, scene change. Two
Yep.
nights later, Matt, Perrin, Rand, and actually I find out later that Tom is in there too. But it's mostly Matt, Perrin, and Rand have the fire to themselves.
Yeah.
Egwene and Moiraine have gone off to have conversations.
Yeah, so basically every
on their
night they
own.
kind of go away from the fire a little bit and go have their own private conversation.
Right. So everyone is feeling all comfy, and Matt says he thinks that they've lost the Trollocs for good.
Yeah, it's like been 3 days.
And I just say, like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are morons. Just because you feel... And then, obviously, Moiraine echoes exactly
Oh, yeah, 100%.
what I have here. But they have a kind of a conversation about this, and Matt starts saying that they probably don't even need to go to Tarvalon anymore. They should just go to a real city like...
Camelin.
No, Ilion.
Oh, yeah, well, once they reach Camelin, then they can turn to Ilion.
Yeah, because that's an
Yeah.
even better city.
Yeah.
With no Aes Sedai there.
Yeah.
And just as Matt says saying that, Moiraine walks in.
Again.
Yeah, her planned entrances.
He's got, yeah. I was going to say, can't have this good a timing.
Yeah, she does, though. She probably just, like, waits outside
Probably.
and waits for
Just
her...
like hearing at
just
the...
listening. I just
yeah.
like to picture her, like, crouched.
She was pretty small of stature, so
Yeah.
like she could hide. Right?
Yeah, but she says here, like, she's pissed off. After a few days of calm, you're ready to give up. Like, have you forgotten the Winter Night and Trolloc raid? Where people died and everyone was injured and the Dark One was looking for you and destroyed your family home?
Yeah.
Like, 3 days ago or whatever it was?
Yeah, and I think we get one of the most important insights into Maureen's real motives right now, too.
Yeah.
Really powerful.
Yes, because she shuts them all up right now. And she says that the Dark One is after you, and if I let you go off exploring, he will take you. She says, I oppose the Dark One, and trust me, before I let him have you, I will destroy you.
Yeah. Like, that is
Oh.
serious.
Whoa.
Like, if the Dark One's gonna get you, I'm gonna blow you up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna incinerate you first.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make sure he can't have you. I don't know what he wants with you, but he can't have you.
And this comes back to the Aes Sedai story of they aren't, they don't lie.
Yes.
Right? So...
Well, yeah, and she's been very sort of veiled about this.
Yeah, and
but
she, like, twists her words, and she kind of avoids some topics, and we get into that, too. But, like, this is very plain-spoken.
Oh, yes.
Like, she's not beating around the bush here.
Yeah, and this night she's so pissed off with them, she offers no help with healing.
Yeah, which, again, is fair.
Yeah, but...
These boys are being kind of dumb, right?
Yeah, just morons. Like, I get that they're, like, country bumpkins, but, like, come on.
Yeah.
Take a look. Have some... This comes back to a public school issue.
That's true.
They have no critical thinking skills.
Yeah, they haven't been taught properly.
No, they really haven't.
Yeah.
They don't know how to analyze and assess, and they really should. Turns out. So Egwene and Moiraine have started, these nightly conversations away from the group, and it makes Rand so curious that he decides to go spy on them.
Great idea.
Oh,
Can't go wrong.
God, I just thought, Rand, no.
Yeah.
But I also want to know what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So I was on board.
This might be like a little plot device so we can find out more, but who knows?
Maybe. Just maybe.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
But probably not, because, Rand is a curious little dude, so.
Well, I think it is also for us to get to know some of these things.
Yeah, we get some really good information here.
Yeah, so Egwene is asking Moiraine about the 5 powers.
Yes.
So earth, wind, fire, water, and spirit.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because normally you hear about 4 elements.
So I looked into this a little bit here.
Okay.
And these are like the classical elements: earth, air, fire, water.
Yeah.
But Aristotle added an element to it called the ether.
Yeah.
Or the aether.
Okay.
Which is supposed to be the material that fills the universe. So basically the 5 powers in our magic system are the classical elements with like a twist on Aristotle's 5th element.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So she says, Egwene, being she, says men are the best at wielding earth and fire, which are the strongest powers, and that's not fair. That's not fair. I want to wield the strongest powers.
Yeah, so that's also an interesting take. So men are typically strongest in those 2 elements,
Yeah.
fire and earth, and then women would be stronger in
Wind and water.
water and air, yeah.
Yeah. So Moiraine sort of laughs here and says, is there no rock so hard that wind and water cannot wear it away? Or a fire so strong that wind and water cannot snuff it out?
Good point.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
It's just sort of just turning the way you're looking at something.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, those are sort of the most destructive, like fire and,
they
earth
could be, but also
could be the most destructive.
If you ever seen a hurricane,
right.
it's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting. And then I guess spirit is just reserved for everybody?
Yes.
Kind of thing?
We can probably assume that
that
at this point.
Hey, Internet, let's talk for a minute about what you're going to do when this episode ends and you're all caught up on the Wheel Weaves. Interested in checking out maybe a new podcast? Well, here's a promo for a pretty great one.
Have you ever been reading through a stack of comics and thought, maybe I should see what this Arkham Asylum game is all about? Or been playing Marvel vs. Capcom and felt like you were at a real disadvantage since you didn't know who half the characters were? Well, Play Comics is the show for you. I'm Chris, and each episode we take a look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that source material. So whether you know the comics and want to know how all these games work, or you know the games and want to find out where all this craziness came from, go check out Play Comics at playcomics.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Okay, so they go on with their conversation about, men breaking the world by going mad and trying to free the Dark One. But Moiraine doesn't really answer the question.
She does kind of avoid it here. She kind of circles back to it.
Yeah, kind of by accident, it seems like. But
Yeah.
she sort of leads Egwene elsewhere in thought, which is kind of sneaky.
Yep.
At first, anyway.
Plus the whole thing where she doesn't want to, if she doesn't want to answer something, she just
doesn't.
changes course. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She's not going to make something up about it. She's just going to talk around it.
Yeah.
And this was interesting. The way that she got Egwene to shift thinking was that she started complimenting her.
Yeah.
So, the lesson to be learned in that.
Yeah.
Egwene loves compliments.
It's like the validation.
Oh, yeah. Well, even that whole, thing at the very beginning where the Gleeman said she was pretty and she went, oh, hoo, hoo, hoo.
Yeah.
And she just, loved it.
I'll be your assistant.
Yeah. And then glared at Rand.
Yeah.
She just sort of eats it up. I think that just speaks to sort of how young she is right now.
Mm-hmm.
How she doesn't have the confidence in herself, so she's looking for validation in others.
Yeah.
So she says that she's impressed by Egwene's initiative, seeking her out and choosing the adventure and asking to become an Aes Sedai, where others might not be so bold. And she says the old blood is strong in the 2 rivers, and she's surprised to find 2 in one village.
Ooh.
And Egwene gets excited and asks who the other girl is.
Yeah, and tries to guess a few girls.
Yeah, but Moiraine pulls a Hagrid and says, shouldn't have said that.
Shouldn't have done that.
Shouldn't have said that. Whoops. Shouldn't have told you about Fluffy.
Yeah.
And the three-headed dog and how you put it to sleep.
Hey, remember like 20 minutes ago when you said you weren't going to make any more Harry Potter references?
As I was reading it, I thought, oh, man.
Oh, man.
That's a good one, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, so her path leads a different way, and you shouldn't worry about that other person I just talked about by accident.
Okay, who do you think she's talking about?
Nynaeve.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that there's a lot of things that are not very obvious here.
Yeah. Like, we already got reference that, typically women who don't have a guide.
Get the help, become wisdoms.
Become wisdoms, so... And then we know the whole listening to the wind thing that Nynaeve says she can do.
Yeah,
so.
And she said that without help, Egwene would probably just become a wisdom.
Yeah, so her road lies a different way, right? So that's interesting. Yeah. So Nynaeve...
Who knows what that even means? It's veiled, so...
Well, she's the wisdom, right? So...
Well, for now.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And then she ends up circling back to the original question, sort of.
Yeah.
Right, about men breaking the world.
So she tells Egwene here that the men who broke the world were insane and not evil. And the Aes Sedai that shall meet in Tarvalon are all just humans, who all have good and bad qualities, just like all people.
This is a big insight into Aes Sedai.
Yes.
Like that they are just people that have an ability.
That just have magic power.
Yeah, exactly. You get the good, the bad, the confident, the brave, the everything. Weak ones,
Yeah, so becoming an Aes Sedai will not change who you are. And this was something Egwene was actually afraid of. And she sort of notes that here and says, oh, good. Like, I thought that maybe the power might change me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to an extent it will, because she's so young. And as she grows, like, people change and come into themselves, and it will change who she is.
But it's not like the power will have a direct influence on...
Who
Yeah.
But the fact that she is going to learn this power, presumably, it's going to change her outlook on life. So in that itself will change her. Like if she stayed in the Two Rivers forever and became a wisdom or whatever, like I don't believe that those two people would turn out the same.
Oh yeah, very different, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even just an outlook on the world and on life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit interesting that Moiraine mentions on the previous page there that few women these days have the ability to become initiates, much less the desire to, right? The wish to, so.
Well, and not to mention, if Egwene had such strong feelings about Aes Sedai like Rand did, and probably like most of the other girls in the Two Rivers, then... she wouldn't have initiated. She wouldn't have gone. She would have stayed away from the Aes Sedai instead of running to her and asking about how to be one.
That's true. There is a interesting dynamic there between the men and the women, though, with feelings towards Aes Sedai, because women who have the ability to channel, right, they can become these Aes Sedai, very powerful women. Sure, there's a lot of bad things about them in the stories,
but what I'm saying is, in the Two Rivers, the stories about Aes Sedai aren't all
good,
terrible.
Yeah.
So why would you look up to them and want to be like that? Yeah. Everything they know is bad.
Well, most of what they know. Right. If they have all these stories, there's probably some stories about good Aes Sedai too.
Yeah, not really that we've heard of in
Not that we've heard
Emmonsfield.
of, but yeah. And then just the counterpoint to that is that men, obviously, the only outcome of the power related to men is insanity and death.
Yeah.
So clearly that kind of makes sense that men would have a worse outlook towards the power.
Yeah. Okay. So then Egwene actually starts asking, like, why did those Trollocs come to Emmonsfield anyway? And I'm just surprised that either A, no one has told her this yet, or B, like, she didn't believe Rand when he said it.
Well, we know she didn't believe Rand.
So as she says this, why did the Trollocs come to Emmonsfield? Moraine's head snaps over to where Rand is hiding in, like, the shadows.
Like,
in the bushes.
deadlocks right to where he is.
Right to where he is. And he slinks away as fast as he can and gets back to his blankets and pretends to be asleep.
So here's the question. Do you think Moiraine knew Rand was there the whole time?
Yeah.
You think she knew, like, right from the beginning?
Maybe.
You went from yes to maybe.
These questions are always so tough for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't say, like, oh, Rand snapped a twig and then she looked. It's like Egwene asked the question
it does
and then...
say that Rand snapped a twig and neither of them looked over as if they noticed.
There you go.
Earlier on.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe she heard that he was there.
And assumed that one of the boys maybe?
Right. Maybe that's why he circled back to answer the question, because she wanted Rand to hear it.
Okay. Yeah, because it kind of changes the conversation if we know that she knows that there's
Rand
a boy.
is there.
Yeah, Rand or any one of the boys.
Yeah, she knows someone's there.
Yeah.
She doesn't know for sure it's Rand because, you know, she does, like, a moment later appear to check on things.
Yeah, to look.
And she looks to see who's missing.
Yeah.
But they're all there, so then she's like,
Yeah.
I wonder if she knows that they got back there in time. I don't know. Or Rand did. But it kind of reminded me, actually, of, like, a child maybe, like, sneaking out of bed.
Yeah.
To, like, get a snack or something. And then, like, hears the creak or the door open. So they, like, run and they lie there and with their eyes closed and pretend to, like, be back asleep.
The parent opens the door and looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in movies and stuff.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So the whole part there where when Rand gets back to his bedroll and then he's lying down real quick and Lan shuffles and then it's like, oh, he's just rolling over in his sleep. Also, I don't think Lan's sleeping.
No.
I just assume that Lan knows what's up all the time.
No, that's probably a good assumption.
Yeah. Like, I assume that he knows. And the best way to pretend to sleep is to pretend to sleep properly. Like, make sure your breathing's steady.
Yeah, well, Rand does try to make his breathing steady. But I don't know. Maybe if my whole theory about Moiraine reading Lan's mind is a thing, and Lan noticed that Rand got up and they have this telepathic connection, that's the route I'm taking with this one.
They could, like, communicate?
Yeah, that's my hard answer on that.
Okay.
That's for sure what happened.
It's good you're taking a stance here.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
So, on the 6th day, so we're finally, I think, kind of through this camping stuff, maybe. They're still moving slowly, and Rand is wondering if they'll ever get to Baerlon.
Yeah. Just a side note, the reason why they're going so slow also is because the horses got their fatigue taken away.
Yeah.
And if they move quickly, they're just going to, like, lame the horses.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know that one, but.
For anyone who didn't know, just in case.
Okay, but so just then, they get to Baerlon.
Yeah, there you go.
Great. So a tall log wall surrounds the city, and they note hundreds of chimneys from homes with tile and slate roofs.
Yeah, and specifically no thatch roof.
Specifically
no thatch roof.
Yeah. So it's bigger than Emmonsfield, Devon's Ride, Terran Ferry, Watch Hill, all put together.
Yeah.
And all these people live in one place, and the boys can't believe how many people live there. These are just like true country boys.
Oh yeah, 100%. Who've never been further than like 3 days away.
Right.
And now they're like 7 days away.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
And probably if they went at a regular speed,
that's true.
They would have been farther. So, but like for the amount of, like, they are far away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Moiraine directs a question at Rand because the other two boys are sort of talking and he's just sort of staring in wonder. What do you think about the city?
Yeah.
That's what she says to him. And he says, well, it's a far away from home. And she says, well, you still have much farther to go. So get used to it, bud.
And you don't have a choice. Specifically, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, she says there's no choice in this. Your only other choice, to be fair, she does give another choice.
Yeah. Well.
The other choice is to basically run and hide and basically be captured and die.
But then she did say that she would destroy them first, so.
Ooh, right.
Yeah.
So he feels like she's making all their choices for them.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the title of this chapter.
Choices.
So she's making the choices, and she gives them instructions here about going to the city.
Yes.
So they get a list of things. Do not mention the Trollocs or Half-Men or the Dark One.
Yep.
There could be dark friends here, and the people here don't like Aes Sedai either.
Yeah. As soon as she says, like, don't do this, 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 and this, all I can think is, oh, someone's for sure going to do all of those things.
Yeah, I know.
Like, these boys clearly aren't the best at listening, so.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
And she says, do not attract attention. So when she's saying this, Lan is actually switching cloaks.
Yeah, away from his magical shape-shifty one, or color-shifting one.
Yeah, to just like a regular cloak. They also have different names here. So Moiraine is Alice.
Yep.
But it's spelt funny. So that's why it can be pronounced Alice.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Lan is Andra.
Yeah. I have a question for you about this.
Yeah.
So they are given fake names at Baerlon that they've clearly used before.
Yes.
Do you think that Moiraine and Lan are their real names? Because if you can use a fake name in Baerlon, why couldn't you use a fake name in Emond's Field?
Okay, that's a good point that made me think. But they weren't hiding who they were in Emond's Field. They weren't hiding the fact that she's an Aes Sedai.
That was going to be my next question. So if it is the real names, why aren't they using fake names? Why are they using their real identities? I mean, you kind of answered it because they're not hiding.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah, they're not hiding. Like, he wore his color shifty cloak.
Yeah, she came decked out.
She came decked out like an Aes Sedai with her gem on her forehead. And
or at least fancy noble lady, right? So
yeah, at least that. But then also when all the Trollocs attacked, like, she didn't just like slink away.
Yeah.
Or like run around screaming to pretending to be a village, which I bet she would do here. I bet if Trollocs attack here, they're running. They're not.
You're gonna be fighting.
They're not throwing firebolts or lightning bolts from the sky. I don't think she would in this place because she doesn't want to reveal herself because she knows how dangerous that would be for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, clearly Baerlon's not the biggest city ever. We kind of get Tom's like sarcastic scoffing, like, "Oh, this is a city to you boys." Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So clearly, it's not actually a gigantic city.
Well,
it's like a town, but
right, as opposed to a village.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So. But yeah, still more dangerous in higher populations. So
yeah, so
okay.
Yeah, I think that in Emond's Field they probably did some decent scouting. They did better,
they just like
better recon than the Murdral did anyway.
Yeah,
but
about festival.
Yeah, and they probably like saw that everyone was just like good, honest folk, where they wouldn't be like burned at the stake.
Yeah.
Well, then they were threatened, but that's later
that's
on.
different. Yeah.
So. They head over to the gate where a grumpy man sort of wants to turn them away, but then he sees Moiraine and smiles and rushes. I'm coming, don't leave, I'm coming. So they enter the gate and they dismount, and the little old man, so his name is Avin,
Yeah, sure.
calls them, like the Two Rivers people, calls them down country folk.
Yeah, with hay in their hair.
With hay in their hair. And he goes, "Oh, I didn't realize you're collecting down country folk."
Yeah, that's great.
It's kind of funny. And he also recognizes Tom, saying, "Hey, I let you through a couple days back."
Yeah, because so they have two gates, right? One that's going to Whitebridge, which is the more populated portion, like closer towards the capital.
Yeah.
And then there's people going towards the Two Rivers.
Right.
So probably not many people go through that gate.
Yeah, and even when they showed up, he said, "Go to White Court."
Yeah.
Go over there.
Go to the White Court gate.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Like, go to the White Court gate. And as he's opening this gate for them, it says it creaks with, like...
Yeah, it doesn't get used very often.
It doesn't get used very often,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and also I'm pretty sure Lan has an infinite amount of gold, because he just dishes it out to everybody.
You know what's so funny? I wrote that.
Did you? Like, same?
Well, yeah. I just said, where does Lan keep getting all this money from?
Yeah, just tons of gold.
Jeez. So Lan ignores this and says, "I hope you remember to forget about us coming through and letting us back in too," as he hands the man a coin. Yeah. So, "No need for that," he says. "You already gave me plenty." And then as he takes it, though.
Still pockets it.
He doesn't give it back. Yeah, where's he getting all this gold? I said. There's no banks.
Yeah.
Like, he's just carrying around just, like, piles of gold in his, like, satchel.
Could be. In his horse bags, maybe.
Yeah, but that seems dangerous.
Well, not when you have an Aes Sedai.
Can Moiraine magically create gold?
Maybe.
Because I just can't understand where this is all coming from.
Okay.
What? Are you
Nothing.
smiling
No,
at
it's just
me
funny.
about?
Yeah. It's like of all the things that we're concerned about.
Well, it's just...
where's the gold coming from?
Well, seriously. Like, they came all the way down here, paying people off as they went.
Yeah.
And then on the way back...
And presumably they came further than just Baerlon.
Yes, definitely. Unless there's, like, Aes Sedai banks.
There could be. We don't know. We've never been inside a town before, right? So
that seems unlikely. I don't know.
I guess we'll have to read and find out.
Oh, yeah. I bet we won't, though.
Yeah.
He says that he won't tell nobody. Especially those white cloaks, scowling.
So white cloaks is like the slur
for Children of the Light.
It's the slur for Children of the Light.
And they're the ones who hate Aes Sedai as much as they hate the Dark Friends.
Yes.
So Moiraine asks, are there any children here? So, oh yes, there are. They came the same day as you left, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So they're there because of what's going on in Gildan.
Yeah.
And they're here to stamp out evil, and he thinks it's just an excuse to meddle in people's business because there's no wars going on here.
Yeah, and that was a really good point, because he mentions, like, hey, there's trouble up in Saldea.
Yeah.
And there's trouble down in Gildan, so why are they here? And we talked about the White Cloaks as a faction of, like, warriors whose mission is to root out evil, but they've kind of gotten off track.
Yeah.
And now they're just kind of troublemakers.
Yeah, he said there's already been a dragon fang on some people's doors.
Yeah.
So, and then Moiraine asks, kind of slyly, oh, are there Aes Sedai, going to Gildan? Have you heard that? And he just sort of eats this up and answers and says, oh, yes. Oh, yes, there's all Aes Sedai. They heard that they're dying down there, or a bunch of them died or something. And so I'm wondering if this is true or how this is actually affecting Moiraine, because those are her, like, sisters, right?
Yeah, yeah. So probably she is worried, and she probably hasn't gotten that much news, right, relatively, because we don't really know how.
Well, yeah, even he says, like, don't you know?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I forgot. You were down country.
Down country. So.
Where they don't have the internet.
Yeah, exactly. As opposed to here.
Yes.
Yeah. The interesting point that he's saying is that there is a battle in Gildan. The Aes Sedai might have lost. We don't know if they lost to this false dragon or the dragon reborn, presumably. And then we get more rumors of him using the one power, right? So a man channeler. And then he says something interesting where he's moving his army, because he's recruited thousands of followers. He's moving his army east and south toward Tyr. So this is important because if you look at that map, Gildan's like in the middle, right below Emond's Field and the two rivers.
Yeah.
Tyr is way off to the south and east.
Yeah.
And to get there, he'd have to go through a bunch of different nations to get to that specific place. So it's like really far away. So just looking at the map, it doesn't make a ton of sense necessarily.
Right, unless there's something there that he wants.
Yeah, and we get into that shortly.
Yeah, but I also wanted to just circle back to the White Cloaks.
Okay, sure.
There's an interesting point here, because we learn that only about 10 White Cloaks are allowed in the city at a time, because the governor doesn't like them. They cause trouble. Yeah, and so, but they also have a camp set up north of Baerlon, and so I just say they should probably note that and steer clear of north.
Yeah, and they probably do have their ears on high alert here, so...
So we get a name for the followers of the dragon?
Yeah, he's named them the People of the Dragon.
And I think this is a terrible name.
it's not very creative.
No, it's not creative, it's not catchy, it's not good at all.
Yeah, and you could name your mule that if you wanted to.
But he wouldn't.
Not my mule,
no,
yeah.
No. I don't know, I gotta think of something better for these guys.
Okay.
So, another Harry Potter reference. In Harry Potter, the Death Eaters are the people who follow Voldemort. They're not called the people of Voldemort.
Yeah, Death Eaters is like, the name should be like inspiring, like fear or terror or something. Like it's got a emotion.
It's got to have a ring to it, like the people of the dragon.
Yeah.
Like we might as well call them like the Targaryens.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on board. Okay. People of Dragon are Targaryens.
That's the new name. Yeah. I like it.
Okay. It makes sense.
That's way better.
And terrifying, right? Okay.
Well, it's like medium. But, like, they go mad.
Yeah.
Right?
They do.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Okay.
Okay, so Moiraine says they need to be on their way, and they move along. So, as they go through town, Rand hangs back sort of here and asks Tom, what was all that about... How did you pronounce it? Tyr,
yeah.
And People of the Dragon.
Yeah.
So I have in here that you are going to speak to this thing that Tom says. So
okay, yeah, for sure. I also put down, just as a side note here, I wrote down, hey, look, Rand's asking relevant questions finally. Because...
What do you know?
I know, right? Like, it only took a while, but he's finally asking questions that are, like,
And he's asking,
important.
like... the right person.
Yeah, the right person and the right questions.
Info from.
Yeah.
Because he was asking Lan questions before, he was relatively relevant. Like, it was okay. Like, the questions he was asking were okay, and Lan was sort of answering them. But I think that this was a smart move for Rand for once.
And it's almost like Tom's going to be more on the boys' side. Like,
Yeah.
There's like a distinct wall between Lan and Moiraine and everybody else.
Right. Like,
So,
Rand here is sort of looking for some, like, gossip.
yeah.
Almost some stories.
Yeah. And this kind of links back to the fact that I mentioned that Tyr is so far, like, out of the way that it almost doesn't make sense when you look at the map to have to go through so many nations just to get to this one specific place.
Right. And Rand says, isn't that the place that's, like, on the Storm of Seas? Or
Yeah, the Sea of Storms. So that's
Storms?
the Southern Ocean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tom then just says it's the Karaethon cycle.
Okay, and then Rand says nobody tells those stories in the two rivers, and the wisdom doesn't even allow it.
Yeah, so the Karaethon cycles is the prophecies of the dragon. So we've already got a bit of an introduction into prophecies. So the Karaethon cycle clearly is one of those like systems of stories that are equating to prophecies about the dragon.
Right, and that's why they wouldn't be allowed to be talked about in the two rivers.
Yeah, exactly, because it's like evil, right?
Yeah.
So one big important thing I want to note here is we are not going to get any glossary definitions about the Karaethon cycle for this entire book.
Oh.
There's nothing in the glossary, so all we get is what's given to us by the characters.
Okay.
Yeah, so a little bit of mystery. So just to kind of go through what Tom's talking about here to put in a little bit more context. So right now he's just going to explain what Tyr is and why it's relevant to this.
Okay.
And why the dragon would be wanting to go to Tyr. So Tyr is the biggest port on the Sea of Storms. So there's like Ilion we heard about, there's Tyr, there's a few others, but Tyr's the biggest one. And then there's a fortress in the city that's called the Stone of Tyr. So the Stone of Tyr is the first fortress that was built after the breaking of the world.
Yeah.
So when everything went terribly, this was the first fortress. And one of the prophecies specifically says that the Stone of Tyr will never fall until the people of the dragon come to the stone.
Okay.
So it sounds like the false dragon, or the dragon, or whoever you want to call them in Gildan, named his people the people of the dragon so that he can fulfill a prophecy.
Oh, is that why you laughed at me when I said it's a bad name?
A little bit. Like, there's a reason for it. Yeah. But I agree that it's not a very powerful name. So we can call them Targaryens if you really want to.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to get sued for that, so...
If we're getting sued for that, then we're getting sued for everything else that we say. Let's be real about that.
So one of the prophecies talks about that. And then another prophecy says that the stone will never fall until the sword that cannot be touched, in quotations there, the sword that cannot be touched, is wielded by the dragon's hand.
Right.
So this is apparent. Tom says the fall of the stone is a huge and major proof that the dragon has in fact been reborn. So it kind of links into the fact that for the dragon to be real, the prophecies must be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And if prophecies aren't fulfilled, then they're not real.
Right, and then Rand sort of notes that this is sort of like a wheel. Like, if the stone can't be destroyed, how would they get to the sword unless the sword...
How...
Yeah,
it's
like the sword has to be held before the stone can fall.
So how can it even work?
Right, and then Tom just sort of says, well, a prophecy is a prophecy if it's easily fulfilled.
Yeah, so it's like a really complicated thing. And we also kind of get this whole, the sword that cannot be touched. So just
the
a little...
sword and the stone is what I'm thinking of.
100%. It's a little bit of like a, head nod to the sword and the stone.
Yeah.
Because it's literally the sword and the stone of Tyr.
Yeah.
But Tom also goes on to say that he doesn't actually know if the sword that cannot be touched is actually a sword. Like, it might not even be a real sword for all he knows, because it's in the heart of the stone, and the heart of the stone is like the main citadel of the fortress in Tyr.
Gotcha.
Right? So impenetrable fortress, apparently. And none of the High Lords let anyone go in there.
Right.
Yeah, specifically, also not Gleeman,
right.
obviously.
And then, so the Gleeman here says, may the stone stand till I am dust.
Yeah, so it's a little bit like, hey...
a mantra.
Because
almost.
if it happens while you're alive, that means the dragon's been reborn, and bad things are going to be happening.
According to legend.
According to legend and prophecy.
Yeah, and I think here, so he says, may the stone stand till I am dust. And it sounds like lots of people recite that. And what I thought right away is, what is dead may never die.
Yeah, it's
like,
exactly that
like
kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
A little saying there, so... Yeah, so that, and like you said, Rand kind of goes through this whole, like, oxymoron, how can it fall if the dragon has to hold the sword first, but whatever you want to call it. But it's just typical confused Rand.
Right.
So.
Okay, but then Lan stops them, and the Gleeman actually sounds kind of happy that they've stopped, so that he can stop talking about this.
Yeah.
And they are sort of at a section of a high fence, and he jimmies it open. He jimmies a gate open with his dagger.
Yeah.
And they all file in, and they're in a stable yard of an inn, but it's not like an inn that they've seen before. Like, this one is huge.
Yeah,
it's
way
huge.
bigger.
And it's like 4 stories high, and Rand wonders at the city that could have so many strangers in it.
Yeah.
And it's like in Emmonsfield, they all knew miles around that there were 2 people there who didn't belong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, or I guess 3 people who didn't belong, really. And they knew. And that's so funny.
It's like his world is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and he needs to start adapting.
Faster than he is currently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's going to just get, like, left behind.
Yeah. One little interesting point there is that in the conversation with Tom and Rand, they mentioned that Tyr hates anything to do with the power more so than Amador. And Amador is like the stronghold nation for the Children of the Light.
Oh, okay.
And the Children of the Light hate everything to do with the power. So Tyr hates it even more.
Okay.
Kind of makes sense because the fall of Tyr is kind of like what needs to happen for the dragon. Mm-hmm. So... Bad news bears over there. So when some men come busting out of the inn, they start yelling at these guys about how they need to go around to the front and how they can't be here. And then Mr. Moneybags reaches into his purse ready to dish out more
to pay them off again. And then the innkeeper comes out.
Do you think it's like a magical bottomless bag of gold?
That'd be nice. Can I have one of those?
Yeah, I was going to say, we need to get one of those. I don't know where they make those, but...
Yeah, we'll get into it. Maybe magic. We need some magic first.
I'll figure out magic first, and then we'll get the bottomless bag of gold.
First thing we do.
Yeah.
So our squad here is their expected guests. And the innkeeper tells these guys to basically back off, take good care of them and their horses. He addresses Lan and Moiraine as Alice and Andra.
Yeah.
And he seems very happy to see them, actually.
Yeah.
He's saying he missed their fine conversations, and he was worried about them down country with all of the stuff going on.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that Moiraine and Lan clearly make connections with the right people.
Yes.
Gate guard, certain innkeepers, like, so you have your safety in your travel covered.
Yeah.
Right? So they're smart.
And who knows the sort of conversation or how they knew about Hightower.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So... like they made some conversations, or I guess some connections in Terran Ferry to know that was the guy to go to.
Yeah.
To cross the Terran. So.
Well, presumably they would have had to use him to get across in the first place.
Yeah, I guess so. He seemed kind of shocked to see them, like he didn't know them, though.
Yeah, a bit of a weird exchange, so.
Yeah.
Like, who really knows, but...
Yeah, not me. But anyways, I note here that this innkeeper says that there are wolves howling at the walls.
Yeah, right up to the walls in the night.
Yes, and this is a good sign, actually. Yeah. We learned that if there are wolves howling, then Trollocs are not around.
Yeah, likely.
So,
most likely. That's what Lan said, so...
Yeah, I trust Lan, though.
He's a pretty trustworthy guy.
Yeah. So they head into the inn with hot meals and hotter baths, and the guy says, "Welcome to the Stag and Lion. Welcome to Baerlon."
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice little exit note there.
I like it, but I also, right away, obviously, Stag and the Lion.
Makes you think of...
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Completely. Like, there's no other thing I could think of.
Yeah.
And I bet, obviously, when people read this for the first time and Game of Thrones wasn't around, no one thought of that. But now, since Game of Thrones has become maybe arguably even more popular than this, you know, that's...
more mainstream, I'd say.
More mainstream for sure with the whole HBO show. But yeah,
I've
that's
also,
what I think of.
So one of the things RJ also did in this series, he does a lot of little head nods towards Lord of the Rings, because that was a big influence from what I understand. So I know some of the inns that will come across are like head nods to Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And a few other series that he talks and he mentions, like Dune and a few others. So.
Okay. And then it just sort of, it seems like George R.R. Martin sort of carried on the tradition of giving head nods.
Yeah, definitely. I have some fun facts about the relationship between George R.R. Martin and Robert Jordan. So we can cover that later. So
yeah,
I got to save them for more episodes.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was actually thinking today, how are you going to keep up your fun fact of the episode?
That's a good question, but we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, I believe in you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so that is actually the end of this chapter, and that's the end of this episode. So how are you feeling right now going forward?
You know, I like this chapter. We're kind of getting into the bigger cities now. Like, we're clearly out of Emmonsfield and Two Rivers, and it doesn't look like we're going back anytime soon. Probably not in the next month, like Matt thinks.
Yes.
So we can assume
and
that.
Perrin.
And Perrin thinks, yeah. So yeah, I feel like it's good that it's underway now.
Yeah.
And
I'm excited
Yeah,
for it.
what are your any closing thoughts or anything we missed from your stuff?
No, I think this chapter was kind of funny because the first 10 pages didn't really have much, and then the last
last 3 are packed with conversation and
stuff. So
definition.
That was kind of an interesting read, and then I'm interested to go on because our next chapter is called The Stag and Lion.
Yeah.
So we're going to learn more about the inn, and some things are going to happen while they're at the inn.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the next couple of chapters here.
Good.
I'll spoil it. I know what happens.
Well, that's not a spoiler.
Well, yeah, but
it's not a spoiler that you know what happens.
Yeah, they're really good though.
Good.
Yeah.
And I guess as my girl Moiraine would say, it's part of the pattern now.
All right.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Wheel Weaves. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to us and does actually make a really big difference. Tell your friends or anyone who might like us or anyone who's thinking of getting into the series who might want to follow along with us. You can find us on social media. There's more information on there and some fun pictures and tidbits on Instagram at The Wheel Weaves Podcast or on Twitter at The Wheel Weaves Podcast. If you'd like bonus content, exclusive insider looks, and to support us making great content, you can find us on patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. Thanks, as always, to audionautics.com for the music, and thanks to you, awesome listeners.